Alrighty. Looks like we're live. Let's get some tunes, shall we? Streamlabs music. Pop out. Multi-stream. Set this up. And what are we gonna go for? Let's go for Synthwave works. Alright. Yeah. Hello. It's been a while since I did one of these paint streams. I'm very glad to be back though. Because this will hopefully be a pretty nice little easy one to paint today. From the fact that we're painting a Chaos fellow. We've got lots of paints here, we've also got more paints over there, paints behind me. Lots and lots of different paints we can use. So, let's also quickly tweet it out. Story. And sticker. Oop. How do I share to threads? There we go. Right. We're good there. So, let's start off. Most of what this guy is looks sort of fleshy and everything, so I guess we'll start with what we're gonna have the most paint of. So probably we'll start off with the flesh tones, and we're gonna use wait, I almost put Bugman's Glow on. Bugman's Glow is not gonna be what we're putting on most of. Although, as I think of it, yeah, alright, let's start with the pants. This'll be our plan. So we're using a wet palette, for obvious reasons, because I am not the fastest painter. I will show quickly the kind of color scheme we're playing about with for Chaos. Light leather pants, dark leather sort of conjoining, and built flesh tone, hopefully be a bit more consistent than we did this guy in. So let's start off with yeah, a little bit of this here, Bugman's Glow, for the pants. So it's quite runny at the moment. I think I probably didn't dry my thing off enough, but hopefully enough pigment will stick that it'll be fine. So pinch, just generous application of this here, and we're just going to focus on all the places where it's going to be the leather the light, or not even leather, it's almost more like a fabric, I suppose. So we'll work with that. Try and get so. Very basic sort of thing that we're putting a good chunk on. We're gonna let it dry ever so slightly. And while it's drying, rinse off our brush, and we're gonna switch to the boots. So the boots are going to be, let's see, what should we do the boots as? Where is it? Zandri dust, maybe. Yeah. I think the boots we're going to do in Zandri dust. I think this might be my first time. Yep, this is my first time opening my Zandri dust. So, pop a little bit of it onto the wet palette. I probably put more on the wet palette than I needed to, but what odds? Okay. Bugman's Glow, we're also done with you, so you can go to there. Move our water dish over to the side a little bit. And Zandri dust. Mix a little bit onto the brush. And we're going to try to just gently hint it along, so I want it over the bases of the shoes and everything. I suppose they're more like boots than shoes. I don't want it going over the top or anything, because those there, to me, that is going to be metal plating on top. So we only really want just the littlest, ittiest, bittiest piece. So let's try and get these here while we can. So this guy, maybe, you know what? Maybe this crowd will be chilling out in a desert terrain. Maybe that's what it's going to be. So, I'm going to try and push it into the little recesses. So that we get nice little coverage on it. A little bit more. Push it into these little deeper sections here. So there. Nice little boots. Hey, Taz. Thank you very much. It's been alright, yeah. Working away these days. You know, just full-time work followed by in the evenings trying to get done all the stuff that you can't get done. How is life treating yourself? Need to actually move the chat over to this here side because I just realized it was kind of being obscured a little bit. So I'm going to move it over to here. Ooh, right. There we go. There we go. All my chat is in the same place now. Right. So Zandri Dust was going to be for his stuff. Karakan Flesh just submitted the corrections. Ooh, very nice. I take it you have had the Viva and all then? I don't remember what order PhDs goes in. I was not one of the people who was smart enough to get even to the end of university. Well, I probably could have if I applied myself a bit better, but I chose not to. I coasted, and as a result, now I am basically a team lead in my work, but also an analyst, so, you know, done alright for myself, I would say. For someone who doesn't know really how to apply themselves, we're gonna need a little bit of fineness on this. Oh, congrats on the team lead role. Well, it's one that I've had this here sort of role since, God, when was it? I've basically been in my role since August, and not much has changed. The only thing that happened really was in May time, they actually got me a team member on my team. There was one that I used to lead before, but then just resourcing, all of that sort of stuff, they went across to another team, meaning that I was working on most of the stuff by myself for a while. So it's yeah, it's nice having someone being able to help me out with a lot of the day-to-day tasks and everything, which frees me up a lot more for focusing on some of the higher level stuff, which I think was always the desire, that I would be focused more so on high level analytics than I would on administration. So yeah, it's worked out pretty well for everyone so far. The guy who's in with me is in 2.5 days a week. Really dead on guy. I get on really well with him. And fortunately, he seems like he doesn't want to be, like, he doesn't want to give anyone an excuse to ever yell at him. Not that I would. That's not like how I would be a team leader or anything. I wouldn't want to yell at people, because then I think at that point, when you're creating a culture of fear, you're never going to get your best, like the team's best or anything. You're only ever going to get enough that you don't have to call them on stuff, question them on stuff, things like that. But you're never actually going to get them going above and beyond. It's better to lead with people liking you, you know? You don't need to be liked, obviously. You can still be hated if you choose that that is the way you want to go. But I don't like being hated. And where is my... Are you Rakarth Flesh? Yes. Rakarth Flesh. So we can use this here for his skin tone. We got a good bit of skin that's going to be visible. So we're going to apply Rakarth Flesh pretty liberally onto him. Just lift a bit out of the pot. Yep, we got our double click. Perfect. So we can apply more and more of this. Proper catch up before Xmas? Yeah, we should do. Hopefully. It's tricky just finding time, you know. I hate this whole like grown up life thing. Although having said that, yeah, I was actually, God, how long has it been since I was off? Spent like 10 months basically just off drink, like not even going out after work for pints and all. Not for like any reason, I just fancied, it's like, okay, I fancy not drinking for a while. Did about 10 months, and now that it's heading into the winter, it's quite amusing. People during the summertime didn't want to go out as much. Now that we're heading into winter and it's colder, more people are going, it's like, hey, so do you want to head out for a beer after work? I was like, meh. Alright, why not? Do a few hours in the office and then head out for a pint afterwards? Sure, that sounds good to me. Still need to do lots of different things as well. I need to eventually get... Even a coffee could be good. Yeah. I will let the other half know. We can try and plan something. I know at the minute I'm sure you're probably with the correction stuff submitted and everything. You're actually in relaxation mode, are you? What comes after corrections? What is your next part of the plan? Going to be demonstrating and proving mathematically the existence of the letter K, is it? Was K the letter you were working on? I have a feeling for your PhD, K was part of it. But I might be wrong. It was something about 256-bit encryption, was it? It was something to do with numbers and potentially encryption. And it was one of those things that sounds like, oh, that could go into like finance. Which, ironically, K-theory, that was it. Job applications till graduation. Don't blame you on that. Money helps. A surprising amount of my work actually involves sort of finance and accounting stuff nowadays. Not what I originally signed up for, but it's actually really interesting sometimes. Finding all these little bits and pieces that you don't know. And what's quite funny is sometimes speaking with other people who actually are accounting backgrounds. I'll just be chatting away, and then they'll just be like, wait, hang on. What the hell is... You said about, like, double tax exemption? And I was like... Yeah, from Germany. It's going to be expiring at a federal level soon. And then they're just like... We only deal with, like, UK market stuff. I was like, oh. So I do more international accounting than some of the people I know in accounting firms. Which is quite amusing. Not that I understand half the crap that goes on. I just know when the numbers don't match, that's when we have a problem. So always make sure the numbers match. Just painting in the little bits on here. Ooh. His biceps and everything are proving difficult enough to try and get. Let's get a little bit more, actually a lot bit more paint on that. And we're gonna go over. So, up. Forgot about that. Oop. So I'm using an HDMI, a micro HDMI cable to output from my camera, just because it's a more reliable feed. But I need to figure out how to stop that from being a thing. So currently at the moment you're actually not really able to see. I'm trying to get underneath here to get his fingers and thumb and hand and everything done. So then at that point we can move on to painting his head and face and all. It's all about the little bits. Some of these guys are much more interesting to try to paint, for sure. The dynamic poses, but I will say it makes me think, oh god, I should have done some sub-assembly work on this. Sub-assembly, like, before you put it together. Because some of these little nooks and crannies and crevices and everything, some of them are difficult to get into once it's all put together. But still, we're getting there slowly but surely. You can see the little bits. So we'll get a good chunk of the paint, and we've got a nice thin sort of consistency, so we can give it a good wash over his face. try to get in under as well, because the way I see it, he's got this... You know what? Let's zoom a good bit in for you instead. So the way that is, this around... Oh, thank you, ducks. I appreciate that. Food's arrived. Not a problem. Yes, will do. Enjoy your food, enjoy your evening, all of that there. Take care of yourself, Taz. Yes, thank you, duck. I appreciate that. I have been painting for a couple of years now. I'm just trying to, you know, I have a lot of grey plastic behind me. Up there and in there. A lot of grey plastic. So I'm trying to slowly reduce the amount of grey I have on my shelves. And painting streams seems like a good way to reduce. So, our metals, we're going to, because most of the metal is going to be sort of coppery thing. Where are we? Yep, okay. So, it's reversed, but we're using Screaming Bell as the base for our metals, because I like that sort of coppery color, and then we will apply gold on the trim, and for gold we'll be using Retributor Armor Gold. So let's make sure we got a nice healthy little application on here. But yeah, it's fun painting Warhammers. It's nice and relaxing. I will see if I don't have him up here with me. I don't actually have him up here, sadly. There is one of my fellas that maybe at the end of the stream I'll run down and grab him. Oh, crap. Yep. We're gonna just a little bit more application of this here, just into these wee recessed areas. The difficult to reach bits. So we're going to try and get those and just paint those in. And I think that's all the fleshy parts painted on him. So, next we can do is we can start on his metal armor plates. So, going to be using small-ish, like this here, size of brush, just to give you a... So, this is my fingernail. It's about half as long as my fingernail, and it's incredibly thin. But that is going to allow us a lot more control when we're sort of applying it on. So we take, yes, we've applied a hell of a lot all in one bit there. So we can use that to try and make sure we get down into all these different recesses and gaps and everything. We're going to require probably a few layers of this before we've got that nice consistent metal. So, with these here, you can kind of see, well, you probably can't actually see, it's maybe not catching the light quite right, but there is a little bit there where it's almost a circular pattern from the way we've applied it. We don't want that, so that's why whenever it dries, we will be trying to get another bit onto it, and we're going to go from different directions, because obviously the pigment will follow the way you brush the pigment on. So that's how you get like lines that look like you've painted brush strokes onto them. It's sometimes, like, metal isn't gonna look that brushed, and if you do want the metal to look brushed, you're better off having a nice, consistent coating of your basic color. So your nice basic color will be consistent, and then after that you do a different type of metal and you brush it on, probably using like a dry brush technique or something. You can also kind of, I don't know if you can in fact make out on here, there's little sort of lines that look almost like damage to the metal. I really like those, and what we're gonna do for those is we're gonna definitely highlight those out and make them a bit shinier. But prior to that, let's make sure we get his shoulder plates done and everything. So in we'll go, make sure we're just sort of pushing the paint around to reach all of the areas in here. So you can see we're sticking within the bounds of the colors. You can see the brush strokes on it, possibly. So we rotate them around and we'll get the back end done as well. And these bits that are raised, we're going to paint in gold. So let's try and just... This is the thing with the metals, is it is almost like actual little tiny flecks of metal that there is in the pigments. But for that there, also creates a little bit of an oddity. Because it separates out a little bit from the liquid, so you end up with a weirder sort of thing. So we've got his main bits of his armor done. You can see the leather there using Bugman's Glow. He's got his flesh, which we've used Rakarth flesh for as a base. Screaming Bell on those lowered plates. Now, we want the raised up bits. We want the bits that look higher up. So, bits that look higher up, it makes sense for us to do those second. Where is our fellow? That's Liberator Gold. Aha! Here we are. Retributor Armor. One of my most used metallics, to be honest. So we're going to quickly lift a bit of Retributor Armor out. It's actually probably my favorite metallic. It's just such a nice gold color to it. So, give it a good click-clack. Always close the pack with a click and a clack. So, there we go. And now, get a good bit mixed onto the brush, and we're focusing on the raised metal. So we're going to brush it using the side of the brush. We brush it along these top sections. And that right there is how easy it is
Where am I?
to do raised metal.
Am I alive yet?
I think the synthwave is having an existential crisis. It just asked me, is it alive yet? So let's quickly just... I don't know if you can sort of see the bit that's getting done there. We're just trying to get that, and there we go. So, we have that nice little bit of contrast between. I suppose what I can do is reduce the light level so it's not reflecting as much. Still reflecting more than I would like it to. So we've got the mixed coloration on it. The nice little copper and gold juxtaposed against each other. It's like oh, we've got this real fancy, real shiny gold that does these little bits. And then we have built in the little bits of copper. So I'm just gonna quickly do similar things over on this side. So I don't know if you can see the little bits. No, it's getting blocked by that there. But what odds? So we have a larger section here to paint in this lovely gold metallic. So let's get a good chunk of Retributor armor. And we're gonna just really, really liberally apply it using our brush here. Like this guy, I mean, he's carrying a banner, so we're gonna give him really nice armor. Because this guy, yeah, he's gonna be like a moral support for a lot of these guys. So bring this up and just make sure we get all of the sections here. Oh! You know what, as well? Maybe there's a little bit of lore on it. Maybe this guy, the reason he's got such shiny gold stuff, is maybe he actually did loot it from a Stormcast. So yeah, this guy is possibly seen a bit of action. Oh, you can hear the dog outside. My guess is she went out for a pee and the door blew closed. And she was just saying, "Hey, you guys, I'm still out here." So, a little bit of a nice sort of one there. All of that shiny gold and a little bit of copper in there. So yeah, this guy, he probably melted down some Stormcast armor from one of his many, many kills. And he used that to shinify his own stuff. It's tricky just trying to make sure I only get into the little bits that I want to get into. You know what? We're gonna turn this light around, and where is my... I think we need both lights on. Where is my control for it? Whoa. Hey, hey, Topher. Hey, you is quite right. How are you doing? You having yourself a lovely little Wednesday, I hope? Are you well? 'Cause you're looking well. Just trying to make sure I get all of the gold in on this guy, so he looks nice and shiny. Come on, let's get a little bit more around there. And okie dokes. That's his gold that we're getting a little bit more done. A bit closer. This guy? You mean you want this guy to get a little bit closer? I don't actually know what our... Yeah, no. Our focal length on that lens is very much apparently designed for the distance I have it set from there. Which actually makes sense. I suppose I did buy it for that purpose. It's a... What lens are you? Blood for the blood god.
Skulls for the skull throne. Milk for the cornflakes.
I would genuinely, if Kellogg's ever did partner with Games Workshop, I would genuinely buy a box of cornflakes. And if anyone says that at that point I am more brand loyal than I am smart, I would simply say to those people, hi, pleasure to meet you, since clearly you've only met me just now. So, alright. A little bit more of this. And now we can start on his, like, fucking big pauldron. Like, big pauldron. So let's try and make sure we get lots of pigment on here. We're gonna have to do more Screaming Bell inside a little bit, but you know, we do what we can. Oh boy. So, Screaming Bell is... Yeah, our colors we've used so far is Flesh, is Ion Rack Flesh. We have to go over and do a little bit more on the head for that. We're also going to do a bit of Wraithbone, or possibly Morghast Bone. No, we'll do Wraithbone for his giant skull, skull headpiece, I guess it is. It's pretty, though. I like his headpiece. So, we're closing off little bits of his armor. I want to try and do sort of fine strokes here, and a good number of them, so we make sure lots of pigment stays on. And the spikes. Do we do the spikes as... You know what? We'll base them with Retributor armor, even if we decide not to keep them as Retributor armor. So, very basic, but I like it. Now, he has a few other bits of metal that we still need to do. We're definitely going to do his gauntlets with this here Retributor armor. A little bit more on here so we can get these pieces here. Get that little bit there. And try to close off this little gap here. Whoop. Mistake on my part. Had it out of frame. We're trying to get this closed off and paint his whole thing gold. So we will. Because he's got golden knuckle dusters. That's what he's working with. Golden knuckle dusters. So, nice little bit of contrast there. We can do a bit more Screaming Bell just to touch up the things. And what am I thinking for his neck thing? I want it to stand out even more, the neck thing. I want it to stand out even more. So maybe we do it in red, just. Maybe his neck we just do in very basic corn red or something, and then we do like the metal buckles and such. So, right, these little pieces we get, okay, they're back to bronze. And hooky dokles. Those there sorted. So, just realized I need to do the underside of several of these things. So the underside I can do also in Retributor armor. We got a lot of pigment on the brush there. We're just trying to get underneath and paint the underside of all these metal pieces without going over the flesh. And victory, victory, ho 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 ho. Perfect. So, let's see. Yeah, leather. We've got some leather straps to do, so leather straps we're going to do with our Caracan flesh, just because I really like it for that sort of... It's not super dark leather, but you can tell it's leather. You know, it looks tanned. A little bit more onto here. We will have to go over and correct some of the flesh because we accidentally got a little bit of brown onto flesh. But these things happen, especially when you're working with weird shaped models like this, because this isn't exactly the easiest to get into all the little nooks and crannies and all of that stuff. So a little bit more of this. Oh man, that was straight up idiotic of me. I just accidentally splotched it straight on to his skin. It was not my smartest moment. It's not actually even about smarts or anything like that. It's just about the shakiness of my hand. Trying to paint when it's just in front of you and you're just sat like sort of this here with your elbows is different to trying to paint for a camera. So maybe I need to find the balance somewhere in between. And we might find the balance. We might win, but we might not. But whatever happens, this is not one of my priority models. This guy, he looks cool. Haha, I forgot. Oh. There we go. Thank God it makes the sound at least. Right. So, we can use a bit more Zandri maybe. Bit more Zandri on the boots. Or do we need... No, Bugman's Glow we've got a good layer of. Oh, a couple of points we could do a little bit more. Just to correct. Okay. Bugman's Glow sorted there. And what else do we have? More leather needed actually under here. So get in on that. Okay, we've got that wrapping around. We've also got this little bit here on the legs. So let's make sure we get this. And right. That's more of the leather sorted. Flesh is fine. No. We need red. So, you know what? Give me one quick little second. I'll be back in one quick little second. I'm gonna grab one of our recent ones. Okie dokes. Sorry about that. Had to grab one of our previous ones because I wanted to show sort of a recent example of our painting. Regular cultist. I think so. This is from the original Age of Sigmar starter kit. What is going on with the little thing on the... You know what, we're going to quickly toggle our camera. Just to see, will that help? Oh god, it's still artifacting like hell. Or at least it looks like it is. This is some kind of Chaos Cornfillow from the Corn Goreblade Warband or something you called it. So he is part of the same army that has a whole pile of these guys who are my attempts at doing like fleshy stuff and all. I'm less about flesh painting because I find I paint armor better. This, for example, is from the Dark Imperium set. This is the Lord of Contagion, and he is my most recent example of one I'm very happy with, because I really like the flame effect I got on him. Like that there, the flame coming off of it. The sculpting of these is pretty good. I don't know what it is. Maybe if I just quickly hide and re-enable. Nope, it seems to be the... It's possibly just from the micro HDMI or something. But yeah, I like the way I got the flames done on this. Like the way I got the spikes done. The Nurglings still have a lot to do on them. The little fellas on his base. You can't really distinguish them that much. But even like his little entrails, and you can see the little bit of goop dripping out of his intestine there. I was happy with that. The axe I liked when I got done on it. His little, what do you call it? Thing up there. I was happy with it. So, you know, flesh is not my main one that I'm used to painting. But we still are going to keep trying to eventually get better at it. So, corn red, oh boy. Okay, corn red hasn't dried out, thank God. So, yes, corn red, we're going to use yours. Thinking Iron Halo or something? Possibly. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. So I've got the corn red. What do I want for the stave? You know what? For the stave, we're going to use... Have I lifted it down? I don't think I have. Right. Morghast bone. We're definitely gonna keep some of you out. We're also gonna grab some wraith bone from over here. Or, oh, no. No, we're not gonna wraith bone it. We're not. We're gonna have much more fun because we're gonna use Corax White. And the Corax White, we are going to put it on all the leather stuff that wraps around. So we're going to do that, and we're going to shade it with Seraphim Sepia. So, Corax White, let's take some of this. We're gonna need a healthy little amount of it. So, down we go. But, how are you, Burger King? Are you well? Because you're looking well. Hopefully you're not the same Burger King that wears that crown on the airplane. If you get that, then congratulations. Your algorithm is probably as completely messed up as mine. My algorithm for Reels these days is... it's questionable. It's like, I don't even like these kinds of memes. I don't like stuff to specifically avoid my algorithm being tainted. Still ends up getting tainted. So we're gonna apply... crap ton of Corax White all over his staff. So we get around to it. Probably going to need to do some touch-ups after. So, okay, the Corax I think is going to work, and the Corax I think has actually given me an idea for my Scaventide stuff, which I have so much Scaventide to do. Out of my Scaventide box, I've actually only painted a couple of things off of it. I've done basically nothing to get it through. I've been seeing that mostly videos from 2 to 5 years ago. I have been watching a whole pile of old stuff recently. Although I've yet to see... I did see one of my feed things popped up. And the feed thing that popped up for me was about Warhammer 1st Edition lore. And I was like, oh, that'd be interesting to see what that's like, considering the fact we're on 10th edition, I think. We're on 10th edition now, I believe. So it'd be interesting to see just what lore was like at the finding. The reason you should, by the way, never aspire to be the guy that wore a Burger King crown onto the airplane is quite a famous one. It was a guy who was just wearing an he was on an airplane and he was wearing a Burger King crown. And he was just yelling racial epithets and racist slurs. And it's like, why, sir? Just why? You know, there's just why? I think that's a fair question to just have. Why would you possibly do that? Especially, like, how do you think it's okay to just behave like that nowadays? Or do you? Maybe you recognize it's awful behavior, and that's why you're doing it. A bit like some of those comedians that make jokes just for the purpose of the joke is offensive. And it's like, but that doesn't mean the joke is a good joke. You know? If it causes someone to think, then maybe there is some merit to what you're trying to say. Like, you can use hyper-exaggeration. Like, hyper-exaggeration, not hyper-exaggeration. Hyperbole and exaggeration. For example, South Park. South Park is really offensive to lots and lots and lots of people. But it's also trying to spark a conversation about the things that are offensive in it. You know, it's trying to say, hey, yes, this is questionable, but we're doing this to try to get you to think. For example, the episode they had on Tourette's. The episode they had on Tourette's, where they actually got praised afterwards. They got praised by, like, the National Tourette's Foundation or something, because they were just like, yeah, no, this is actually the most well-researched representation of Tourette's that there is on TV. And it was in South Park, no less. So, you know, I don't know. I'm just old-fashioned about comedy. I like comedy to try to mean something. Like George Carlin. Love George Carlin. Although, having said that, I also appreciate a good, just stupid joke. You know, Mitch Hedberg is still one of my favorite comedians, despite the fact that that guy, his jokes were so stupid. I mean, God, what was the wonderful one he did? It was like, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. Or, of course, the wonderful observation of, an escalator can never break. It can only become stairs. Matt and Trey do pretty well most of the time. They do. I didn't really like the season where it was just overtly, like, taking the piss out of sort of the Trump campaign and, like, his presidency. Not because I support in any way what was being done during that presidency. More so in the thing of it's just like, yeah, just, it doesn't feel like it's an episode you're going to be able to watch in 10 years' time and be like, oh yeah, that age, well, because in 10 years' time there's going to be a new audience of people, some of whom may, with any luck, never experience that level of sheer what the fuckery ever again. You know? They might actually hopefully be born into a world where politics isn't just incredibly shite. But that's just my hope. My naive hope, if you will. Okay, so you know what? We're gonna do the blades of his little axe first. So, just trying to brush to rub a lot of pigment onto and off of this. Get a nice, good coating. Try to get into these. So, come on. I definitely am not that impressed with my Screaming Bell. I don't know. I'm sure it's fine when you've just bought it, but for me, I think it's... Although it's probable, it's more likely, actually. It's less likely to be a bad paint, more likely, in my instance, to be a bad painter. Because I fully recognize I am not the best painter. I do okay, and I've got a few models I'm proud of, such as I was showing earlier, my boy here. Like, this is Death Guard, but I painted him in such a way like he's the white and gold. Or no, white and green, sorry. Which I didn't realize was the original colors of the Death Guard, apparently. I only found that out after I took it into the shop and we were playing a game where everyone has one unit and the table was... we had like 12 players. Each player had only one unit. Your unit could respawn at the end of a turn if it was killed, which was very fortunate, because my Lord of Contagion had no ranged capability whatsoever, and on turn 1, 10 tactical marines all at once. All 10 tactical marines were just like, oh yeah, just to let you know, we're going to all fire with our supercharged plasma guns straight at you. And the guy that did that and all, I was just like, you're a little shit, you know that? Just important to try your best at painting them. Yeah, that's fair. It is pretty expensive. For me, you can probably tell from the shelves behind me, I have definitely put some money into this hobby for sure over the years. I have bought... So let's see. I bought the Dark Imperium box whenever it came out. I bought the Age of Sigmar Starter Edition, which was... who was it? Oryx and the Stormcasts. So I've got the Oryx and Stormcast one. I also have the one that is Skaven and Stormcasts that just came out, the Skaventide box. I bought it, and before we actually sort of wrap up for the evening, because I have... Yeah. I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't actually tell, but I can certainly tell. My voice is starting to wane a little bit, sadly. Partly because today in work I had several hours of presenting stuff. So, yeah, a lot of talking and all. So my voice is starting to crackle a little bit, as well as hurt. So I'm possibly going to end up just taking a couple of painkillers and heading to bed a little bit earlier tonight. But you know what? I think we've done a little bit on him. You know, we've got some basing on him started. We've got his axe done. We've got his armor and his pants done. We have skulls to do. We have his thing. But before I sign off, I will show you. So you've seen the Lord of Contagion. I'll show you the test color scheme I'm doing for Scaventide, which is, ooh boy, very shiny. So we've got this here fella. If I switch this off, how much does it affect? Still a good chunk. So nice blue for it, and orange. Blue and orange. Bugman's glow on the sword and everything. The flames I need to work on for sure. His flames, because I want them to be more like golden holy flames or anything. We have my other fellas from Kill Team. Where's my main guy? Where is he? Don't. Well, we've got this guy from Death Core of Krieg. So I painted them to be like a desert camouflage sort of effect to them. I'll need to up the light probably for it to come through. Yeah, you can see it a little bit more where it's got sort of the desert camouflage. It's not the best, but it's something. So that's how I painted my Kill Team ones. I'll show you my work in progress for the Ultimate Stupidity. Occupational Elfin Safety. It's an orc from the Kill Team box, and I'm painting them up so that they're wearing high-vis and modern style clothing. And the reason for the high-vis is obviously because high visibility stuff reduced workplace casualties, so the orcs from this band believe that makes them more resilient to damage. And we have big guy. Gotta zoom out for him actually. This is our Korgorath. Big, grumpy, angry looking fella. But wouldn't you be angry if you had a pile of skulls bursting out at the top of you and scars all over your back? You'd probably be a little bit pissed. That's another one of those, and my orcs from, or my Oruks from the Age of Sigmar starter set, which I think was Dominion. So, yep, pink armor. Or pink clothing, I suppose. He's a grumpy fella. But I was quite happy with that there. The little effect on that. So that's something. And then there's a bit I need to do still on a couple of these ones. My old Stormcasts, I'll show you Two of my old Stormcasts. So, my old Stormcast, we have like the commander fella. This here guy. A little bit more light then, I guess, to show him. So, like a gold cloak sort of thing, or like gold cloth fabric, I guess. Metal armor, and nice red cloak for him, with a bit of gold trim. Our other one was, he's wearing just full plate mail and all, but color for his banner, edged with red and white, sort of white wraithbone with seraphim sepia. And finally, I'll show you the other little guy. This is our Skaven from Skaventide test paint. I want all of the rats to look like this sort of thing, where unless there's fur growing on them, they just look like rat flesh and all. Oh, and eventually all of my Space Marines from the Leviathan box will be this one. I need to fix the pauldrons. I tried freehanding some like lightning web, but it didn't work. So I gotta fix the pauldrons, but I'm quite happy with the color scheme in general. So those are my little Warhammery fellows. I am going to stop talking now, and I'm going to head off because I am incredibly sore. I will be back late on Friday because I have a pub quiz I'm going to, but when I'm back on Friday, I'm going to be playing a little bit of Aliens Dark Descent just to get back into the strategy mood. So until then, take care of yourselves, have a good one, and Lord of Contagion says, have a great evening.